What is the one thing that you really need to get anywhere in life? Well, Carson's about to find out. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Good. What you got for me today?
Today I've got an object lesson.
Okay, Legos.
This camera.
Like.
Have a seat.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and I need you to build it.
10 minutes?
Yep.
I got this. This won't be too hard. Just gonna watch me the whole time?
No, there's only one catch. No instructions. Good luck.
Oh, what did it even look like?
It's a camera.
Put this here for a shutter button.
All right, man.
No, time can't be up.
Let's see how it turned out. Okay.
Click.
So it definitely is a camera, but it didn't quite turn out like this one.
No, it did not.
You would have needed the instruction manual to be able to create that.
Of course I need the instruction manual.
And here's today's lesson. In the game of finance, you're never going to end up where you want to be unless you have a specific financial game plan, very much like an instruction manual that shows you step by step what you do in your life to wind up a multimillionaire. Today, I'm going to sit down with you and Shalina, and we're going to do your game plan.
Let's go.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
To be honest, I really hope my retirement doesn't turn out like this.
I'm all set for Carson. I know what that's for. He's out there right now getting his wife Shalina, bringing her in studio for the first time. And today I get to give them their game plan. And it's kind of the do or die move. Like either they're gonna love their game plan, we're gonna keep working together, or it's just a full stop. Let's find out.
Hey! Thanks for coming.
Yep.
You ready for this?
I guess.
Chris sure is excited for this. He's gonna ask us some tough questions today.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I know. But it'll be good. It'll be relatively painless. I'm sure that everything that he shows us, I think we'll be on the same page and see the wisdom in what he's showing us.
Okay.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, Shalina, how are you doing?
There. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. What's up, man? How you doing?
Really
Have a seat
excited
right
for
here.
this. This is gonna be good.
Carson, no. This is actually your chair today. I know it's game plan day, but we have unfinished business. Oh. Right? This chair is for closers. This chair is for people that didn't close at least half of the room on their home equity, right?
What's the consequence?
Shalina, would you help me?
What are we doing? Oh boy.
Yes, we're gonna skunk him.
You signed up for
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Yep. You just gotta keep this for a week.
Ethan, will you hold my glasses?
We're gonna take these bad boys right here. Shalina, you get half and I get half.
Oh boy.
Okay, and it looks a little bit like this. So we got this board right here.
Oh my gosh!
All right, I'm gonna be kind to you. Ready?
No!
That crap is cold. Okay. Gosh. You get the other side.
Shalina, be gentle.
You, I guess, signed up for this. I don't know.
Why aren't we doing her hair? She's the one that said no.
All right. A
Stinks.
little extra for good measure.
Can't see
That
right
one I
there.
got in my mouth.
Don't move. Okay.
Oh man.
Check it out. Today is a really important day, Shalina, for you and for Carson, because we're going to be doing a game plan together. And Shalina, I've seen you at retreats over the last couple of years, but we've never had a single financial conversation before, have we?
Nope.
Yeah, so this could literally be a total disaster, or it could be magic because we're talking about your future. We're talking about where you want to go, and I call it a game plan because very much like that Lego set, without the instruction manual, kind of screwed, right?
Yep.
So here's what we're really talking about. The one thing that you need to get where you want to go in life It is that instruction manual, and I call that a financial game plan. And it's basically looking at your assets, looking at where you've put money. It's looking at the choices that are maybe foolish or smart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a different perspective on what I would do. Now, it's not necessarily what you should do, but the reason why this is really big is because for the last several weeks I've been meeting with Carson. And what I've been doing is I've only had one thing in my mind. How do I help you guys make $1 million? And so today's advice is going to come from that perspective. And then it's up to you to really see if you like it or not.
Cool.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if it works, are you going to be really upset? I'll take the million. I'll take the million.
Let's just get some really good clarity on what a game plan is. How do you acquire the right kind of rental that will multiply over time into enough homes to produce enough passive income to exceed your expenses and retirement? Like, this is a picture of my very first house. And today, this is the house that I live in. Well, this doesn't happen without this being bought the right way to multiply like rabbits over time into many, many houses. Now, I've evaluated what you and Carson have already done so far, and you've gotten started with some really smart real estate. Now the question is whether we can keep you on that path so that it can turn into enough real estate to produce a passive income where if you don't want to work, you don't have to work, or if you have a different passion or purpose or hobby or mission in life, you've got the funds to do it. Does that make sense? Yeah. A game plan is also a strategic, personalized blueprint. Like, there's literally a different blueprint for every person that I meet for achieving financial independence and wealth building goals by leveraging hidden assets to make money. And by hidden assets, do you remember Carson having a conversation with you about that 401k? Most people, you have your money sitting in different places, and it may not be performing, it may not produce what you want for your financial future. We're going to talk about how you take assets from low yields or negative yields and actually put them into higher yields, which doesn't necessarily mean more risk.
Okay, we talked extensively about a 401k. Is that like the only hidden asset, or are there more?
No. A hidden asset is anything that your money is sitting in that is not giving you performance, which means that there's an alternative that could actually get your money working for you at a higher rate, hence getting you towards that residual income goal sooner.
Kris, who gave you your first game plan when you got started?
So I was in my early 20s. And I had met a gentleman who had made over $10 million in real estate. His name was John, and he gave me my very first game plan. Then I met another gentleman who had made over $10 million in real estate. It's strange, he actually was my neighbor across the street from this house. It was like a non-fixed up house, it didn't look nice. The guy ended up being a multi-millionaire, but you would have never guessed it. And he also gave me a game plan.
Okay, so if you had multiple game plans, did it like change? Did you have to update it?
Game plans definitely need to be updated with time, because when I lived in this house, my goal was not to live in a mansion. My goal was to have $10,000 a month of residual income. And 4.5 years later, I had a portfolio of 25 homes that were paying me $12,000 a month. Well, that's when I realized that $12,000 a month wasn't necessarily a lot of money, and that's when I wanted my portfolio to have 100 homes in it, 1,000 homes in it, and so we upgraded and changed our game plan with time. So check it out. A game plan requires an understanding of 5 different elements for me to put it together, and when we're done here, we're actually going to go into the conference room, and I'm going to whiteboard out your entire financial future as I see it, and that's going to be your game plan. So here's the 5. Number 1, hard-earned savings. There is no way to get where you want to go in life without following this first rule. It's called PYF, pay yourself first. How much money do you pay yourself or reserve from what you earn in that paycheck to set aside for your future? This is not money to pay bills. This is not to pay a mortgage or rent. This is not to pay for your cell phone or your vehicle or your insurance. This is the money you're going to use to invest in your financial future. Now, I follow what's called a 50-30-20 rule, which means 50% of the money goes towards what you need, 30% maybe to what you want, but 20% minimally needs to go towards savings for your future. And a lot of people struggle to get to this because, according to Parkinson's law, they live check to check, meaning they basically spend whatever they make. If they make $50,000 a year, they spend $45,000 to $55,000. If they make $500,000 a year, they spend $450,000 to $550,000 a year. The only way you break that cycle, rich or poor, is by actually saving money to get ahead. Does that make sense?
No one I know can actually save 20%. So how are we going to do that?
Yeah. How does someone actually save money and get ahead in this economy with this inflation, with the presidency that we just came off of, that previous administration spending money the way they did, yeah, it's not easy. It actually takes a load of discipline. Some people even just need a game plan on how do I save money to get ahead? And most people are gonna have to, if they're check to check, they're gonna have to reorganize. If you're check to check, you're gonna have to reorganize your lifestyle, which means you might have to cancel some of your streaming services. You might have to rethink whether you use Instacart or not, because they actually charge you a ton of money when they go to Costco on your behalf. And you might have to get a little bit smarter with how do we really drill down and save money. For my wife and I, we started off super, super poor. And what we did is, we have history from her parents being in college super poor, and we created something called KPPPM, Cleanse Parents Penny Pinching Month, which basically meant we got $20 for fun and everything else is going into savings because we just don't have enough dough. It was sacrifice. And for young people or people that are starting behind the 8 ball, it's gonna take some sacrifice in the beginning, but it's worth it, because if you can achieve the financial future that you want, all of a sudden, so many things become possible that never will be, as long as you stay stuck in that 9-to-5 grind and as long as you stay stuck in that check-to-check situation. Okay, number 2, we're talking about retirement accounts, because most of us have been brainwashed. You're gonna put money in a 401k, you're gonna put it in an IRA, you're gonna put it in the stock market, and we've been taught our entire lives that's how you're gonna prepare yourself for your financial future. Strangely, it's one of the riskiest things that people ever do, because every 7 years, what happens to the stock market? It tanks. People lose 20, 30, 40% of the value, and then they have to wait 2 or 3 years for it to come back. They can't time the market. No one is smart enough to figure that out. But worst of all, on the 30-year average, a 401k bumps around 4 and 5%. An IRA is hitting maybe 5 or 6%. The stock market, S&P, they're still talking about 7 and 8%, but over the next decade, it's supposed to drop to 3%. So this archaic model, it's not working. And I know you got a 401k. How did that conversation go with Carson?
It went great.
It didn't go that great because you were in a tutu doing jumping jacks.
Come on, she agrees that putting it into real estate is a good idea. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, but you had concerns about your 401k too.
It's like pennies. It's not that much. It's not going to make that much of a difference when it comes to an investment property.
It brings up a good point. Is $18,000 a meaningful amount of money? When it comes to the game plan I'm going to show you in a few minutes, it actually has the ability to make a huge difference for you. Are you open to me showing you that? Okay. Okay, so let me give you an example of what this looks like. If you were to use the traditional returns on an IRA or a 401k or the stock market, and let's say you're getting a blended return of 6%, let's just assume that you had saved up $50,000. Eventually your 401k will have $50,000 in it. And the question is, what happens to that $50,000 over time if I'm averaging 6%? Well, that $50,000 over 20 years is basically gonna triple. It's gonna become $160,000. Now, on the one hand, it's like, wow, that's cool, my money tripled. And on the other hand, it's like, I only have 40 years of working life and half of that's just gonna triple it? Like, how is that ever supposed to be enough? Do you really believe your 401k is gonna like give you the retirement of your dreams? You kind of already know that, right? Yeah. Let's talk about real estate. All right, what we're gonna model out is what happens if that same $50,000 that was sitting in that 401k maybe earning 6% over 20 years, what happens if it's actually earning 25%? Because the reality is I make a lot more money than 25%. This is a very easy to hit target. Well, that same $50,000 at 25%, it doesn't triple over 20 years. It grows at 27 times more than that to $4.3 million. And let me ask you, $4.3 million, could that be the beginning of a good retirement? For sure. Yeah, $50,000. Most people, you may not be aware that what you already have in home equity, a 401k, an IRA, or the stock market, or under the mattress could be enough to actually start your own real estate portfolio and turn it literally into a multi-million-dollar portfolio down the road. The third part of the game plan for a lot of people is exploring the existing equity in a home that you live in and basically saying, is there something better I could be doing with that equity as opposed to just trying to pay off my house? You're sitting potentially on hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the last 12 months, the average equity position that the average American has in this country, $327,000, which is enough to actually buy a lot of real estate, but most aren't thinking to do that. Psst. If you're one of those Americans with over $100,000 of equity or more, you should click the link below because I can show you potentially how to turn that into millions of dollars. Here's what I mean by home equity. If you have a home and it is worth more than you owe on it, I'm telling you that you can pull cash out of it and you can use that to invest. And most people are like, I wouldn't do that because then my house payment's gonna go up. I'm like, yeah, but then you're gonna build a portfolio of homes that have positive cash flow. Trust me, if you do it right, it totally works out. Is this something you guys are open to? You're selling your primary residence right now. You're gonna come into a grundle of money. And if you use that for investing, I know we talked about that with Tyler Bennett.
Yeah, we're in talks about that. We understand that it's an option.
What do you mean in talks?
It's ongoing talks.
Shalene, is this a hot topic?
I don't super love the idea, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, be super honest.
I would rather not increase like our mortgage payment. I want to bring it down. I want to throw the cash in it so our mortgage payment is less.
And it would feel better if your house was half paid off, right?
Absolutely.
If in the other room when I do your game plan, if I can show you how you can be in a smarter financial position, have more money in your bank account, and have a brighter financial future, would you be open to it?
For sure.
We'll see. The fourth part of the game plan is determining whether it's time to house hack, which is how do I use the money I have and intelligently buy something with it? For example, you look at $18,000 in a 401k and you're like, that's not a lot of money. That's more than enough down payment to buy another primary residence. If that was the right move for you, your 401k would essentially walk you potentially into a home with a lot of equity, and one more home added to your game plan means that much closer to your financial freedom. And the fifth and final thing that I like to look at when we do a game plan is what is called OPM. It stands for other people's money. This is where you basically say, I used my assets to build a portfolio and it's working. And if I had more money, I would definitely do this strategy more, right? Like I figured out the wheel, I don't want to reinvent it, I just want to do it more. Well, how do you do it more when you're limited by the money you have? Well, you start tapping into other people's money.
So Kris, does that mean we get access to some of your money?
Oh, snap.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I think that's a yes.
Tell you what, bring me a deal that makes sense all day long. I'll put up the money. Deal?
Deal.
All right. Other people's money is about leveraging external funding to maximize investment potential. Remember that at least in America, we got banks that are eager to give you money, loan on real estate. You can borrow money from parents or in-laws. That is exactly what I did to get started when I ran out of dough. In other words, OPM literally means wherever you can get your hands on the money and put it in a machine that makes sense. And with that, guys, it's time to actually do your game plan. We're going to get waist deep in your finances, where you guys are at. We're gonna build that financial future, show you where you could wind up. And then Carson, I've got a challenge for you at the end that's gonna help lock all of this in and maybe give you a little redemption from the last challenge.
That's what I need.
You guys ready? Let's go. Okay guys, we're gonna do a game plan right now. You're gonna get financially naked. We're gonna put all of your financial information up here. We're gonna explore your options, and here's the game plan. What is it gonna take to get you to the first million, and then what's it gonna take to get you beyond? Make sense?
Yep.
Time to get to work. Primary residence. This is located in Pleasant Grove.
Yep.
What's its value?
Sell price potentially?
Yes.
$620 says Tyler.
What do you owe on it?
327.
$327. Okay. When you go to sell it after closing costs, let's take a look at what we're anticipating.
Tyler said we could probably look at 275 because it's 292, but there's going to be some closing costs and realtor fees. So 292, he guesses down to 275.
Okay, so there's $275,000.
Yes.
And Shalene would like to put that into the new house.
Yep.
The new house being built is also in Pleasant Grove.
Yep.
And that house has an appraised value of how much?
1.3. Although when it's done, Tyler thinks we'll walk into 1.4.
Could potentially be 1.4.
Yep, when it's done building.
Okay, and what do you owe on it?
That depends if we put the money from the 275 into it.
Let's start with no, and then we can always add it in.
Yep.
What's the loan gonna be here? You already put a down
900.
payment.
Yeah, 900.
So you're gonna owe around 900,000.
Yep.
That's after the 300 you put down? Okay. And Shalina, you don't like that
No.
because that would make your mortgage roughly how much?
Like 5, in the 5 to 6 range.
I think it's like at least 6.
Yeah, okay.
So it's going to be a $6,000 a month mortgage,
Yeah.
but you also designed it to have an apartment, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath above the garage. What do you think that's going to rent for?
I misspoke and said 13 earlier, but I think it'll be closer to what, 18?
1,800? So if you have $1,800 coming in, we're going to subtract that rent. It means that your net mortgage is going to be somewhere right around 4,200.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your current mortgage right now?
2,000 about.
All right, so you're basically going from $2,000 a month to $4,200 a month. And here's where Shalina says, hey, take this, apply it to that. Now I thought this number was gonna be lower because weren't you also gonna not do some of the things?
We've cut a lot from it.
And I thought you had to get it under.
Yeah, we're trying to get
Jumbo.
it under jumbo.
Yeah,
But that's if you apply that.
Okay, if you apply it, you get it under jumbo. Because all of a sudden then, this would, if we apply this, it would drop you from 900,000 to basically somewhere right around 625. And what would your mortgage be then? Carson's got his numbers finally. He's learning his lesson.
4 or 5.
Huh? 4,500? And 4,500 minus the 1,800 is going to put it right around 2,700. So Shalina says, why would we want $4,200 a month when it could be $2,700 a month, right?
Yep.
Very, very
Which puts us,
respectable.
by the way, right back to where we are in PG in terms of what we're paying monthly,
Very close.
but we're living in a much nicer home.
Much nicer home. Yeah. Very, very tempting. We're going to look at it. On top of that, you have a couple investment properties, right?
Yep.
So you have 2 homes in Florida.
Yep.
We bought these 2 homes using my system.
Correct.
On the first Florida home, what's it valued at and what do you owe?
Valued at 310
Okay.
and owe 200.
And on the next one?
Valued at 300 and we owe 190.
Okay, so real quick, we have $110,000 here. Here, we have around $110,000.
Yeah, they're like so cookie cutter, Chris.
So basically, combined, we're sitting on $220,000. Here you're sitting on $275,000, which basically makes up $500,000. And you've got $400,000 to $500,000 right here, which basically puts you right around a $900,000 to $1 million net worth. I just want to pause. So let me be very clear. From the time you started in with me as a videographer and not the CEO, and started watching my videos and decided to buy that first house like I bought mine, bought your second house the way I did mine, and then used your winnings to go invest in real estate, basically through real estate alone, you're almost sitting at $1 million.
Yep, net worth. Yeah.
Congratulations
No,
on that. That's amazing. Like, that shows, by the way, that shows the power of real estate over time, because by the way, has it been an active job or has it been passive?
Active moments and then mostly passive, yeah.
Yeah, how long is an active moment?
A couple weeks.
Yeah, and then once you bought it and it's gonna sit for years, all you're doing is transferring that money from one asset to another asset. We're gonna keep doing that. If you take a look at where you guys stand today, I'm pretty dang sure what I would do if I were you guys. But there is one more asset that we have yet to explore that Shalina's like, what could my 401k possibly do? And so over here, we do have our 401k and it's sitting at $18,000, right? We're clear that if you allow this to grow over the next 30 years, it's not gonna create the retirement of your dreams. Might as well use it. Lastly, tell me about savings.
Can I ask you that actual authentic question about 401k?
Yeah, you can ask me an authentic question about 401ks.
How much of that is actually left over after taxes?
It depends. It depends on your income bracket. When you take it out, you're gonna pay a 10% penalty for having chosen to put it in a 401k, so that's gonna cost you $1,800. And then afterwards, the remaining $16,200 is going to be heaped onto your income for the year. And the bank will basically say, well, whatever your income is, whatever your tax bracket is, that's the tax you'll pay on this. In this situation, however, you're writing off this house, you're writing the interest off on this house, you're writing the interest off on this house. And so my guess is you're already massively reducing your normal tax bracket because of what real estate is doing. This house is gonna do the same thing. So from where you are today, the more real estate you buy, the less it will look like you make on paper to the government, until at some point it doesn't look like you make anything at all. But you actually are making more money than you've ever made before. You're just not taxed on it. Like the cash flow on these homes, you're not taxed on them. That's tax-free, because once you depreciate the asset, that's tax-free, and there's leftover write-offs. Does that make sense?
So if we were to just pull it out, it'd be about 16,000 minus, if I take away that 10% plus whatever we get taxed on that income.
Yeah.
Is there cap gains on pulling out of a 401k?
No.
Okay.
But people are either thinking of one of two things right now. What is the money that I'm losing by taking it out? And I'm like, it ain't doing anything for you. Why should you care? And in a decade, you'll say, it ain't doing anything for me. Why should I care? And in a decade, you'll say, you know, I wish I had 20 years and a little bit of money that I could have grown. So you're gonna pay a small tax up front to access it. But then you can put your money to work and actually have it doing something for you. The average 401k in the last 20 years, study just came out, 4.2%. Inflation is sitting between 3 and 4%. This is doing nothing.
Well,
pay the tax, pay the penalty, and put your money to work. That's what money is supposed to do. It's supposed to work for you.
I dropped it into a compound interest calculator, and 18,000 over 20 years at 25% would be 1.5 million.
Yeah, so who cares about $1,800 bucks?
Well, the question is, how do you get it into something that's doing 25%?
We'll talk about that. But answer me this one first. Savings.
30,000.
30,000, okay. And how much of the savings is your emergency fund?
Depends on who you ask.
Well, I want to ask the more conservative, so shut up.
I don't know
Great.
that I have necessarily. I like more to sit in there. I don't know that I have a solid number though.
So I need a solid number.
Yeah.
And we're going to play a game, and I'm going to get it for you right now. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
All of it.
I know. Well, here's all I want you to do it, because this is a peace of mind test. If you had $1,000 in your emergency fund account on a scale of 1 out of 10, 10 being max freak out, where would you be?
Well, like definitely a 10.
You'd be a 10. What if it were $2,000?
I'd still be a 10.
Yeah, what if it was $10,000?
Like an 8, maybe?
Now I want to ask you a question. Do you want to be married to your other half who's operating at a level 8 stress because there's only 10,000 in savings?
No.
Yeah,
Like,
that might-
I appreciate her conservativeness, actually. It balances us out because I naturally take risks.
Ready? $15,000. Honest number.
I don't know, like 7. It will just slowly keep going down.
Okay, 20,000.
That's more of like, that's lower. That's, I don't know, 4?
4?
Yeah.
25,000.
That still says about 4. So
30
yeah, I'm saying it's like pretty much
I
up
know.
there.
30,000?
I feel pretty good about that. Yeah.
You feel good about what?
Like that. That's my
Okay.
little safety net.
So it is super important that whoever you're married to, if you make a financial choice that puts them out of their peace of mind zone, I promise you, no matter how good the investment opportunity was, you screwed up. There is a price to pay for peace of mind, and this is what this is right now for Shalina. So here's my advice. This $30,000, lock it away, do not invest it, you keep that there. And here's the truth. The more money you make and the greater net worth is, this number should go up or down.
The more money you make?
Yeah, the more assets you have, the more money you make. For example, right now you have a net worth of just about $1 million and you're comfortable with 30,000. When you have a net worth of 5 million, do you know what this number will likely be?
Shouldn't it quadruple?
It'll be a couple $100,000. So bottom line, we're not gonna touch the savings because this is really just your emergency fund. And you know what? I don't even know if that's enough. I'm gonna amp it up a little bit more, but I'm gonna do it a little bit different. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about this 18,000. You have $110,000 of equity in each of these homes, but you also had a down payment. What was your down payment on each of these homes?
About 60K each.
Okay, so on top of that, there's another $120,000 in these homes when you go to sell them. That's $340,000. Well, now if we take the 340, the 275, and the 400 to 500 here, you have $1 million net worth. So what you have been doing on the side with me over the last 8 years has already made you a millionaire.
Okay.
The question is, how do we help you get the second? And you know what they say, the first is the hardest? I'm gonna show you how like 1 can turn into 5 really quick. You excited?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very specific game plan that I wanna give you. Shalina, take this $275,000, apply it to the mortgage over here. Drops your mortgage, the total amount of the loan, $625,000. It is gonna give you a lower payment, very similar to what you currently have, but in a house that is twice the size. But it's not gonna stay that way forever. And then the reason why is because if we take a look at this $625,000 versus the 1.3 or $1.4 million, I want you to get a home equity line of credit that we can use for investing. But not all of it. We're gonna use it to pad some of the $30,000. And so if I take 1.3 million, the more conservative number, got that in my calculator right here, I'm gonna multiply that by 0.9. The bank is probably gonna give you a HELOC or a home equity line of credit up to 1.17 million. We're gonna subtract what you're gonna owe, the $625,000. The bank is probably gonna give you $545,000 worth of usable equity in your home. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So of that 545, think of it kind of as an extension to this. It's like, well, this $30,000 is what happens if I get in a pinch, but let's say I leave another $30,000 or $40,000 on my HELOC that I just never touch so that I have an even bigger padding. Would that bring your 4 down to a 1?
Yeah. Okay,
let's do that. I want you to feel that way. However, if we've got on this whole thing $540,000 available on a home equity line of credit, that is enough money, seriously, for you to go and buy 5 or 6 more homes. And here's why this is important. Let's just say we went all out and we went and bought 5 more homes. Well, let me ask you, have these 2 homes taken good care of you?
Yes.
If 2 tasted great, I'm gonna tell you that 5 more is gonna taste gooder. So we got these 5 homes that are gonna be growing for us. We still probably have $50,000 to $100,000 left over on the home equity line of credit. The positive cash flow from these homes is going to be enough to basically take care of the increased mortgage. So when you use your HELOC, your mortgage goes up, but we're buying assets, the cash flow goes up. And the cash flow, even though it can help cancel out the increased mortgage, is gonna do what you've seen happen here over the last, 4 years that you've owned these?
3.
You've owned these homes for 3 years. They've gone up combined $220,000, not to mention cash flow, tax benefits, and all the other things that real estate comes with. So you're getting to a point with these homes that I think in the next 12 months, I wanna see if this brand new administration that is promising to lower interest rates and make everything more affordable, I think it's gonna boom the market. I wanna give it 12 months because I have a feeling this 310 and 300,000 is gonna go up to 340 or 350. At which point, we're gonna have way too much equity. I wanna cash this out. If we wait 12 months and let's say we're sitting on closer to 400,000 right here, we're going to take these 2 homes and the goal is to trade them for 5 more. I got 5 coming off of here. I got 5 coming off of here. That puts you now at 10 doors, 10 rentals. And this is gonna give you maximum capacity over the next 5 years to go ahead and take that $1 million net worth. And do I think that there's the possibility for you in the next 5 years to have that turn into $2 million or more? I do. It took you 8 or 9 years to make your first million. It'll take you half as much time to make your second million, and then it'll take you half as much time to double it again. That's what happens when real estate grows at these ROIs. Does that make sense?
You didn't touch my 401k.
Okay, listen up, little snot. Now we talk about the 401k, okay? This $18,000, this is called filler. So for example, let's say that the money that we got from selling these homes was enough to almost buy 4 homes, but it ended up being 3. That 401k is gonna come to the rescue. Does that make sense? That's really what we're gonna be using that for, is we have the dough to buy real estate. This 401k is going to either fill up one of your sleep while at night accounts, or it's gonna make the difference of, oh, do I want a house in Jonesboro, or do I have a little extra down payment to get one in Florida, because Florida's been working so well for us. So it's going to be kind of like the linchpin in leaning left or right in some of these choices. Make sense?
A slush fund to be able to do it. My question is, do we leave it in there? Because I'm afraid if we do see the stock market dip, we lose some of that money. It's sitting in a 401k.
Yeah. So I'm going to be the first to tell you that nobody can time the stock market.
Right.
And what I would say is we have a really strong president and administration coming in on this economy. And right now, all of the signs are pointing north that this is good. So a lot of people might guess, well, this is probably going to go up. But don't forget, like if the market rallies 10% and it goes up $2,000, guys, we have $1 million that we made in real estate. Who cares? So like, would I stay in longer because I'm betting on the market? Absolutely not. You can't time it. Get your money out and get ready to deploy it. The reality is whether you're deploying it in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, I'd rather just have it standing by and ready instead of sitting in a place rotting in prison, unable to do what you actually wanted to.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is we should sell all our real estate and dump it into that 401k.
You're fired. All right. Guys, this plan, here's what it allows you to do. Now, Shalene, I want to ask you the really big question here. We are going to take this 275 potentially and pay this down, and it's going to feel good to have this low payment. But then the goal is to say, if I've got $500,000, do I want it sitting in my house, basically trying to save me money at the loan rate of 4%, 5%, 6%? Or do I want to sit it in real estate earning me 25% or 50%? Or the reason why we're making all this money over here, guys, is because my 10-year average on single family homes, the way you're doing it, we're averaging 60% year over year over year. Do you want that $500,000 rotting at 5%, or do you want it making you 60?
Yeah, making money for sure.
Yeah. But we'll get it all paid down first, and then it's deployable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then here's the other point. As interest rates come down really low, as President Trump is promising, let's say he fulfills on that promise, after you've used as much home equity line of credit as you're going to for your real estate, then you want to actually probably redo the mortgage and do a rate and term refinance to basically say, hey, HELOCs are variable, they can go up and down. Let's lock this into one new permanent loan where, hey, if we're going to be in this house, if this is our forever house, 5 years down the road, 10 years from now, 20 years down the road, you're going to be so glad that you locked in a crazy low interest rate on what was otherwise variable money.
Okay, so you're saying you can roll your HELOC back into a standard mortgage?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
I use a HELOC to have quick deployability, to have flexibility, but once my money is out there, like for example, let's just say that you're like, we actually did 4 homes and we had about 150 left and we decided not to touch it. That's where our comfort zone was. Great, you now have discovered exactly how much of it you were gonna use. The HELOC was free. Now lock it down with a very low rate and boom, you guys are set. What do you guys think of the game plan?
Well, my favorite thing about real estate that I've been learning over the years is it just gives you lots of options. Like I don't feel like we're locked into any one thing. You're like, you could do this, let's hold on this, let's move this way. We'll put that money in, we'll pull out the equity and use it to buy more homes. I just feel like there's a lot of options.
Okay.
Which I like.
Shalina?
Yeah, I like it. With our current homes, I love that they just pay for themselves, and anything extra is great. So if that's doable, like if that's doable with these other properties, like I think that's fantastic.
All right. Awesome. That's the plan, guys.
Okay.
You ready? I got a challenge. I got a challenge for you.
I know you do.
Because
I'm up for it.
I got to tell you, this is something Carson is doing Carson is doing really good at now knowing his numbers. Dude, look at this, bro. You knew your numbers. A couple weeks ago, that wasn't the case. He received his consequences. So, Carson, are you ready for this week's challenge?
Yes. all for it.
You saw the game plan I just did. I want you to go hit the street, and I want you to talk to 5 random strangers that are willing to sit down with you on the street, and I want you to do game plans with them. And because it's going to be recorded, I need you to make it about numbers and not subjectivity, principles, or emotions like I saw with those shenanigans last week. I want to see you sit down and actually leverage rock hard numbers as you give others game plans.
Okay. Okay, I'm not planning on it, but I'd like to know going in, if I fail, what's the consequence?
Did you like not knowing last week's consequence?
I did not.
You didn't like that?
Of course not.
Okay, good. Then I'll make sure you don't know what it is right now either. All I'm going to say is don't mess up.
Okay. Okay, I'm not that worried. I'm going to nail this.
Today was about giving Carson and Shalina a specific game plan, a step-by-step manual of what they need to do to go where they want to get to. And of course, you've got normal, everyday societal thinking getting in the way, just saying, simplify, put all your money into a house, don't have risk, just have emergency funds. And the reality is you have to take calculated risks to get where you want to go in life. And right now they have a plan of exactly how they're going to get there. My life would not be what it is today if my mentors hadn't given me my game plan, a roadmap to get where I wanted. And if you're watching this thinking, geez, I wish I had a custom game plan. I wish a multimillionaire would sit down with me and show me what to do. Well, I actually can give that to you for free. Just click the link below, fill out your information, and I'll have a member of my team that I train on a weekly basis reach out to you and share with you step-by-step exactly what you need to do to make your first million and then the millions after. So I've asked Carson to go out, literally hit the street and do 5 game plans. Literally proposition people on the street, sit down face to face and share with them step-by-step what they need to do to make $1 million. Now the reason why I'm asking Carson to do this is first and foremost, I need to ingrain into his head the importance of numbers and being very specific. Because, up until a few weeks ago, Carson's been really loosey-goosey and he speaks from the heart and he speaks based on principle. But real estate it's a numbers game and it's a function of ones and zeros. And if you have the right game plan and the right execution, you're going to be rich every single time. And the reason why I didn't want to tell Carson what the consequence is because I've been hounding him week after week after week with these challenges to know his numbers. I'm going to be watching very closely over his shoulder. I need those game plans up to my level. I need to know that he's using numbers. If he can do that, the journey continues. If he can't, we gotta stop. And also, the kid hasn't won a challenge yet. Like if he's gonna keep losing, is he really the right student? If you wanna see Carson hitting the street, doing $1 million game plans with complete strangers, click right here, let's watch together. And if you've missed any of the previous episodes, click right over here to watch the playlist and see Carson's entire journey.